It's been a while since I dove into the deep end with ARK, their publisher Snail Games, and last month's 10-year anniversary love letter to ARK fans, ARK Aquatica. But we've just got some bombshell new information regarding the future of this ill-fated DLC, as we always knew what lay in store for Aquatica, but not this soon. Now the news here is damning. The action's swift, and for those involved, the effects are immediate. But for Snail, it's business as usual. If you're new here and you want to stay up to date on all the latest from ARK, please consider hitting subscribe and ringing the notification bell so you don't miss one of my future upload alerts. Hopefully I can get through this one quickly, but there's a lot here to unpack, so let's get started. Okay, since we need to have this fresh in our minds for context, here's the TLDR when it comes to Snail Games, ARK Aquatica, and the little-known group behind its development, Studio Sirens. Now, right around March 17th and the Game Developers Conference held in San Francisco, we learned that Snail Games would be releasing a DLC for ARK Survival Evolved called ARK Aquatica. Now, it turned more than a few heads for the myriad of unexplained questions we had about it. Why wasn't Wildcard working on this DLC? Why was it being released for Survival Evolved? And yeah, there was a lot more than that. Also around that time, the Aquatica press kit was scrubbed for information, and within the trash bin was artwork and files indicating that Aquatica may have originally been intended for Survival Ascended, but alas, here it was coming out for Survival Evolved, with Snail promising to reopen and spin up official servers along with support for the new DLC until the end of 2025. And no, in case you think I just misspoke, I said Survival Evolved. Yes, the same Evolved that had been sunsetted back in late 2023 to make way for Survival Ascended. During that conference, the now infamous AI Slop Aquatica trailer first aired and was immediately mass downvoted to hell and back, displaying what can only be described as the most egregious use of AI ever seen yet in the gaming landscape, which caught the Aquatica dev team flat-footed because they went on record publicly stating they had no idea where that trailer came from or who authorized it, but it was later confirmed it was an employee at Snail, or should I say ex-employee of Snail, that greenlit that piece of work. Now, in tandem with that trailer, another captured in UE4 Aquatica trailer was also revealed, showcasing a bit more realistic look of the game, along with a rumored behind closed doors playtest for select individuals also held during that conference. Now, if you're keeping score, it's overall not looking good for Aquatica, right? They're already starting off on the back foot with so much already stacked against it. Old engine, even older game, Snail deeply involved in the production, crazy AI trailer. Make no mention of the fact that it was marketed as a love letter to ARK fans to celebrate its 10-year anniversary that players had to pay for in order to experience, and all the while ripping that band-aid off the wound Survival Evolved players had to endure when their official servers had been shut down. Also, make no mention of Studio Wildcard and how this must have looked to them while Snail was pushing forwards with this project. But push forward it did. Originally set to launch in June as part of that 10-year anniversary event, it was then delayed until July the 15th. Now, that's a very important date and one you need to keep in the back of your mind, because as we progress further into the story, we're going to continually reference it. Now, from July the 15th, the raging fire known as ARK Aquatica first comes to life. I've reported on it ad nauseum, but the moment Aquatica went live, it nuked the evolved save files, as the new version had altered mod pathways. And of course, most evolved players who were playing on their private clusters used mods. And so when they went to boot up their 1,000 hour, 5,000 hour, hell, 30,000 hour saved game files, Evolved would not boot up. And you can imagine the rage and frustration from there. Even players who did not purchase Aquatica were sucked down this wild morass of technical issues, as just the game updating to a new version had wrecked their save files as well. Now, during this time, the Aquatica Discord was lit ablaze with pissed off Evolved players, so much that the word refund was then banned in that Discord. Snail's own announcement telling players to purchase the game now and wait for it to be fixed to then enjoy it did little to smooth over the anger being slung in all directions, of which I was there in that Discord when it caught fire, and toxic AF does not do it justice. Making matters worse is that many of those Evolved mod authors had either packed it up and moved on, or had begun modding for ARK Ascended, and getting them to update their mods to work on the updated Evolved version was damn near impossible. The only way to try to fix this mess was for Studio Sirens to offer up a pre-Aquatica dev branch for download so that Evolved players could then roll back their games to the previous version to at least make them functional while Aquatica was then sorted out. Now, from on or around July 15th until now, Studio Sirens devs have tried to maintain open lines of communication with the player base, all the while fighting through tech limitations and getting the DLC to function given the circumstances. Of course, all of this has led to Aquatica hovering right around a 13 to 14% positive review score on Steam, and although the Steam sales numbers are not yet available for DLCs, SteamDB says that Aquatica is sitting at number 1,435 on the Steam top sellers charts. Okay, sorry if that took a bit to get through, but it's really important for context as we next move into the breaking news. And according to the leaks I've come into possession of, Snail Games, after just a month of Aquatica being on the market, is ready to pull the plug on this project. But let me give you the full details as I've received them. Number one, besides a few support crew from Studio Sirens who will be left behind to maintain the official servers until Snail decides to pull the plug on those, the rest of the devs from that studio are hereby being reassigned to other Snail projects, which they will find out and receive their orders next week. Number two, updates and fixes are done. Outside of what was already in the pipeline for go live, as the few remaining devs are there to handle very small issues, so the massive overhauls and improvements are finished. Number three, the exact reason for Snail essentially pulling the plug on Aquatica cannot be confirmed, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and be honest with you, it comes down to money. Number four, the official end to Aquatica could happen at any time. Snail is still evaluating the situation, so in theory, it could last until the end of 2025. It could actually be sooner. That is a question that is still very much up in the air. But at this point, even the open lines of communication through the Discord and dev streams are in jeopardy of being canceled. But there you go. You heard it here first. Just shy of a month to the day after Aquatica's launch, Snail is essentially pulling the plug on the continued development. They're done with Aquatica. They've seen the numbers, and no doubt that has been a driving factor in what they just did. Now, we haven't seen an official statement be handed down from Snail, at least not yet, and honestly, I don't know if they will release one, but the leaks are final, and they're extremely damning. Nothing but a support crew is going to be left on the game, and only a month after it launched. And this is me breaking from script, just kind of going off of something I thought of. I had a feeling something was up when yesterday, just hours before Snail Games was to give its latest quarterly financial report, they postponed that meeting and call with a new date and time not yet given. Now, I can't confirm if the board's decision to essentially move on from Aquatica has anything to do with that delay announcement, but interesting timing for sure. I also wanted to post this, and I have extra pages for this as well. These are ex-Snail employees who have left reviews of their employer, Snail Games, over on Glassdoor. And I think this one pretty much has some breaking news in it as well. Pros: there are some genuinely talented developers on the team that you can learn from. The 401k was decent. That's the only pros they put. Cons: I was lied to in my initial interview. I was told the only layoffs they do are based on performance. Yet when Snail Games USA recently did layoffs, employees were told that they were not performance-based. I was also told they hadn't done crunch in 2 to 3 years, and their recent job listings claimed that they prioritize work-life balance. However, multiple teams were asked to do large amounts of crunch. Review meetings with the CEO went into all hours of the night. The CEO makes demands for deadlines and new game features that don't make sense, and then asks why the game isn't fun or doesn't look good. When he has feedback, he will just state that something looks bad, but can't give any actionable feedback as to why he doesn't like it, leaving confusion for the team. Listen to this next part, though, ladies and gentlemen. Snail gave statements saying that they were not using generative AI for the making of the ARK Aquatica game, while that is in fact not true. AI was used for so many areas, and developers were forced to use AI per instruction of the CEO. To be clear, generative AI was used in the development of the game time and time again, from concepts to actual assets, not just in the original trailer. Fans were outraged when Snail released an all AI generated trailer for the game, yet this trailer was approved by the CEO. The same AI process is being used on their original game, For the Stars. The leadership on this team also doesn't give appropriate feedback. One of the poor developers was told to not make the female look ugly. And when this developer asked if there was anything specific they wanted to change, they were just told the CEO doesn't like ugly females. Here's another bit that says you'll be asked to work on things that are outside the scope of your skill set and knowledge, be told to figure it out, and then be reprimanded when you can't meet the quality standards the CEO wants because you weren't set up to be successful in the first place. Software licenses can take months to obtain, and team members were told to use trial versions or use their student software licenses, which is illegal. If you're out sick, you'll still get tagged in messages and expected to keep up with what is going on with the tasks, adding to the lack of work-life balance. And this final review says CEO changes their mind every 3 months, demanding all staff change the following: launch dates pulled forward, game forced to add new character game element weeks before launch, no bonuses, you will never receive a review, CEO will require employees to download their side project softcore porn apps and create accounts and pay real money to inflate user numbers. Damn. CEO will use AI tools in every possible effort to replace your job. Staff will always be laid off before launch. CEO is garbage. Management are untrained and will not work with you. Wow. One of these days, the full and complete story of Aquatica, its development timeline, how doomed it was from the beginning, the lack of ASE support, and all the rest of it will come to light because there's way more that needs to be answered. But there you go. Snail did what Snail does best, just as they've done in the past. Insert Atlas. They release the product, they support it for as little time as possible, they cash in, they cash out in a dizzying time frame. I'm still sifting through all of this information and these leaks, and if new details become available, expect a follow-up report, but I think this video pretty much summed it up. Snail did what we all expected them to do by moving on from Aquatica, but I will admit this, them not waiting for at least a few months surprised me. Feel free to drop a comment, and I look forward to reading your feedback. If you happen to like the video, please consider hitting subscribe and ringing that notification bell. And until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.